Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah, it's an honor, brother. Thank you for having me on, brother. This is a beautiful thing.
Praise be to Allah. I'd like to get straight to the interview. So let me ask you this first question. I was blessed to hear your story about your journey to Islam while listening to the interview you did on a People's Podcast with our brother Joshua Muhammad. And for those who are watching, make sure you go and check that interview out. You spoke about how you visited a bookstore with the intention of purchasing the book From Niggas to Gods. However, your intention was changed because it appeared that the man on the cover of the book we know to be The Message to the Black Man caught your attention, and from what you read it led you to this path. So my question is, can you share more about what you read about or in The Message to the Black Man that opened up your mind and began the awakening process?
Um, yes, sir, brother. Uh, the first chapter is what really caught my eye. Who is that mystery God? Uh, when I started reading it, it just made a lot of sense to me instantly when I read it. How he broke it down and went through how God has never been a spirit and how he could never be other than a man, and how he backed it up with scripture from the Bible that I had to go back and really read and verify myself. So after reading that first chapter on that God is a man, that's what kind of just it gave me just an explosion on this enlightenment that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was sharing with us, and I have been hooked ever since. And actually during that time, brother, I hadn't really got into reading books whatsoever, even though I had been a college graduate and this and all that, but I still wasn't an avid reader until I fell in love with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. And we know that that's a book that is still awakening many. I see what Nipsey Hussle, he gave the book to T.I., and there's others. So also in that interview, you mentioned something that I want to talk about, actually, about. This is a two-part question because you were very transparent about how you had one time had left the ranks because what you saw did not reflect what we were being taught. And despite all of that, you returned to the ranks, and now you're serving the capacity of the student minister of one of the essential cities here in our region, the Southwest region, aka the Southwest region. So the first part of that question is, what guidance would you give to those who may be in the ranks right now, contemplating leaving because of what they may be seeing and experiencing in the mosque or in the study group that doesn't reflect what attracted them to the nation and made them join?
I would say get a mentor, get someone who you can actually talk to that's invested in keeping you engaged in the process. I think that's one of the things that I lacked. I didn't have that mentor. I had those who wanted to tell me what to do, but not really show me what to do. And so, it's only so long, especially the way my mind thinks. I'm a progressive thinker. And so I'm not going to, kind of be in a hamster wheel situation where I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and I don't see any progression, and you're going to lose me. Or I got ADHD in that capacity. So if I had someone who I can talk to and lean on more and really be open and frank with, I think I wouldn't have never ventured out of the mosque during that time. But thankful to Allah, brother Alfred, who had saw me in the parking lot one day I was going to visit. He is the one who really initiated me coming back to the ranks. He had told me, just the things that he said about class and the condition of the mosque at the time. And after we finished that conversation, I broke down and cried there at the barbershop because it's just like I couldn't deal with it, but I couldn't believe everything that happened either. You know what I'm saying? It really hurt me. And so from that point on, I rededicated myself, to the Forum 4 and all of that. And I came back, pushing hard, pushing the line real hard. And I'm still energized 6-7 years later.
Beautiful, man. And I hear that energy in your voice every time you give the greetings, whether it's in person, we just opening up this interview, and even on our weekly calls. And I want to ask you this question, part two of that. What advice would you give to those who may have left and may be pondering about returning, but maybe worrying about what others may view of them, and even wrestling with their own guilt.
Right. Find out, really, you got a mind in yourself. What are you good at? And don't let anybody distract you from that. You know, the Holy Quran says that if Allah didn't raise men to repel men, then the whole earth will be overran with injustice. All of us who come to the mosque, we come with a particular gift, whether that gift is appreciated or not. You know, you have to know your value. You got to know, you got to be insecure in what you do. And know that when you come with Master Farad, or you heard the teaching, however you heard the teaching that brought you to the mosque, is to bring that talent to the mosque to take the mosque to the next level. Now, how you do it, I can't, there's no blueprint on it. But one of the main things is that you have to be so self-confident in yourself. And if you're not that confident, find you a mentor in the mosque who you respect, who you can talk to, who is not trying to lead you astray away from the nation, but keep you in the nation and teaching you how to fight these different elements that try to push us away.
Great response. And I know prior to you being the student minister of Muhammad Mosque number 48, I remember Brother Tyrone, if I'm not mistaken, who's now
Yes,
in, I think he's in Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Florida.
yes.
So can you talk about, can you take a moment to share how you came to be appointed to the position of student minister there in Mosque number 48, and any guidance that you received from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Yes, sir. When I came back to the mosque, your brother Tyrone H was on the post, and you know, me and him had talked, and you know, I was a principal over Bessie Coleman Middle School at the time, so I was telling, you know, I was letting him know, you know, where I can help him out at it, and this and all that, if there's anything I can do. But me and brother Tyrone had a good relationship from the beginning, because when we first came to the mosque, me and my wife came to a Friday night study group, and he was the Friday night study group instructor. So he had an intricate part in bringing me in the nation already. Fast forward, so when I come in and you know, he puts me over the processing class. We start having some advancements in that area, and then he lets me know, you know, what's going on with his situation. And then he informed me that the minister wanted me to send him some documentation about myself. Forwarded the information, overnighted the information to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the rest is history. He told me to get busy. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told me to go back and win our friends and raise the city back up. And so that's what I've been operating off of, those detailed instructions that he gave me from that interaction.
Good, man. Beautiful. Any part of those, any more of that detail guidance or Jews you can share?
It's all a message to the black man. It's nothing different than Master Farad Muhammad raising up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's just, you know, we have to internalize, especially those of us, you know, who are over cities. The responsibility lies on our shoulders, just like these universal flags. So at some point, we have to be true to the messenger who we say we are true to, and nobody else. You know, sometimes that's difficult because of the friendships that we may have acquired in this journey. But at the end of the day, we got to raise our cities up, so we can be ant mounds of each other all around the Southwest region and move harmonious together. And it's all in love and appreciation of what we do and what we bring to this craft. So that's pretty much it. One of the jewels is, remember when you was there when I first one of my first interactions with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when we had dinner. And he had asked me to read that scripture from Matthew about mammon. That's one of the jewels that you was there. And then, you know, of course, when I shook his hand, he whispered something in my ear that I won't share here. But we just been moving. We just been moving. I've been in every instance, in every aspect of my post assignment. I've always let him know what's going on. He asked me to send certain reports to him. I send those reports like clockwork. So other than that, brother, it's just really just, you know, getting everybody to be engaged in the process. It's like any classroom, and pray for the best.
Beautiful. And what would you say in your tenure and serving in this position? What have been some of the most profound lessons or aha moments you have experienced and learned?
Um, one of the most profound moments is like now I have a leadership class with like my captains, how, my journey and my experiences, a lot of them just don't have that type of experience when you're dealing with certain classes of individuals. So I, like any educator, instead of complaining about it, I develop a professional development specifically for our leadership group on the things that we need to hone in on. So we started doing these 8 steps of leadership, being honest, integrity, not losing the lead, learning that you have to be the one who has to clarify the instruction and not the one who's receiving it. Because of one of the things that since I've been on this capacity, I noticed that sometimes we have difficulty with our interpersonal skills, and that's hindering our fishing and who we can fish and how we maintain the fish, um, uh, and not really get drunk with the so-called position that we think we have.
And that is those are great, man, and very, very proactive and also very progressive, and something that we all need to do. Because like you said, you have that experience as an educator, and you know how important that professional development is, and constantly training and helping people to go with that, to learn those skills and help us to be successful. Because, like the minister said, we are in the people's business, right?
Right.
And we talked about this in addition to one of the benefits of this show is that it also provides me and the audience the opportunity to record our history as a nation, right?
Right.
And you were talking offline before, and I saw some of the stuff you all are doing on social media, and how you were talking about the mother mosque.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about recording the history of the Nation of Islam's development there in Dallas, which I am so happy to hear that you all are doing and look forward to it. My question is, what can you share with us about how Islam was established there in the city of Dallas?
Well, prior to the resurgence of the Dallas Study Group, Isaiah Kareem was here in the city under the guise of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, of course, his mosque is the mosque that he was over is not too far from us down the street. So it was already a presence here prior to. Now, when Dallas Study Group started up, it was part of the West Coast region.
Mm.
Um, and so when they started to build and to really bring the teachings back, the minister came here in 1987 under that time under the Dallas Study Group, and they were setting up study circles and groups all around the city and moving around as far as from what I understand. So I don't want to give too much away in the documentary, but the minister he played a very intricate, detailed, hands-on role in building the Southwest region for it to grow as fast as it grew, and the way that it grew and how it grew, and the number of people who came out to see him in Dallas when he was brought here. So it's a beautiful story, and I think that the entire nation needs to know how the regions were set up. Period. Whatever mosque the minister started out with and why he started out with that mosque and that person and that personnel, I think is very important because it shows his management skills. It shows how he delegates. It shows, and I'm really into like business and management of people and managing of things. And it gives me great insight to his foresight of what he saw coming and why he chose a particular person to do it. What was the attribute that person had? He may not have been strong in one area, but he may have been strong in the area that the minister needed at the time. And the documentary is going to bring that out.
Mm. And what do you know about in regards to some of the student ministers that served in there? You mentioned Isaiah Kareem. I've heard that name mentioned before. So, like Isaiah Kareem, do you know who came after him and who came, of any?
No, I think after Isaiah Kareem, the nation had failed.
Mm.
So from there, like I said, around 85, 86 is when the Dallas Study Group started up here under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So there was a gap in between there. From what I understand, I believe Houston had been set up at the time because the brother who started Dallas had came from Houston. He got registered in Houston. So from there, it went from him to Brother Jeffrey to Brother Tyrone to me.
Wow. And what's that brother? I know you talk. I can't think of his name, but he was considered the minister loves him, Brother Van, right? Is it?
I'm
No,
not sure.
was it not brother? I can't think. Remember the brother who was in the hotel room? The minister asked him to bring his grandson, and he was willing to do it. I can't think of brother's name, but it'll come to me. But
Yes, sir.
we'll move to this next question.
Yes, sir.
Um, in addition to this, I've learned that you're also a big fan of the Netflix series Resurrection Ethuro, if I'm pronouncing that
You
right,
be
right?
doing your homework, huh?
Yeah, man. So this is a multi-part question. So
Yes, sir.
can you explain to those who may have not seen this show what the show itself is about, and are there any connections you have that you see that any connections between that show and even us as the Nation of Islam?
Oh, absolutely. It's the birth of a nation. It shows the different relationships between the male and the female. It shows how the hypocrite responds to productivity a lot. But it shows the strength of the believer and what the believer has to have in order to be successful and stay on the hop. When I say I mean on the truth, or stay on the path, the Salata Mustaqim that Allah lays out for us. So I fell in love with the show several years ago. Brother Amir had turned me on to it, and I had been hooked. So it's talking about the rise of Turkey. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about how, he loved the Turks, at the time. And it's ironic that the Turks have the same flag as we have, but just the moon is at a different color. But it shows the rise of Turkey and what it took. So I learned so much about just Islam from a Quranic standpoint, and from their standpoint, looking at the movie, that it helps me out in how I move in a way, in my capacity. And everyone who I know that looks at the movie, they're hooked. It brings about a different type of spirit. And I would recommend that anyone who studies Islam, period, you should look at this movie and just see how Islam will triumph overall. And it's not by the sword, as some of the detractors would say, but it's more on truth.
Wow. And that man, I know a gentleman who I work with. He told me like one they might have like 100 episodes or something, huh?
Yes, sir. They are. Like, I'm on Usman now. I'm like on his son. But that episode on Netflix, maybe because they break it up. If you look at the episodes online, they're all 2 hours apiece, and they come out once a week. Yeah,
Oh,
so Netflix breaks it up, so you're gonna be like 200-300 episodes. But it's very detailed, especially when it talks about taking on wives, and you see why there's an episode on that. I got better insight on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it was common for Muslims to have 2 or 3 wives, because it wasn't at all, and they really didn't want to do it. So they show how the female, how it hurts her, and the things that she got to go through if she can't conceive. You know what I'm saying? But yet the bey or the ruler has to have a son, and so it's a lot of factors that play into it. So, on one end, we can read about it. We read in the Friday Night Study Group, but on the other end, they reenact those scenes of them doing that, and they show that when the Quran says one wife is good for you, because everybody wants one wife. Don't nobody even want to have another wife to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So you see all of that. It shows the differences, how the males help out with the building of the nation, how the females help out with the building of the nation, and how they come together and how they work together as a team, even through all of the tricks and traps of the enemy to try to stop them from rising up. It's beautiful, brother. You should look at it.
I started. I think I started the first season. I might have got to maybe like 3 or 4 episodes when they was trying to take his father out, and it was just all of that reading, man. But I plan on that's still on my to-do list to actual finish, and so definitely we'll get into it. I know we'll talk, but what you shared was and is beautiful, man, and it helps for us to understand, this whole Islamic history as it started in that part of the world. So from that question, I'll transition to this. If anyone follows our brother on social media, they will know that you are a hip hop artist and you infuse the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad into your music.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, many first heard of the name the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through hip hop songs, and that has played a role in bringing people to the Nation of Islam. So
Right.
my question to you is, in this day and time, in this age of drill, rap, sex rap, do you think it is possible that hip hop can once again be the path for one to gain greater understanding of themselves and the Nation of Islam?
Absolutely. You know, we're supposed to make all things new. So we have to have a better version of what we're hearing. Like, you know, we're taught to put a clean glass next to a dirty glass. So if we put our version next to that and we support our version and we make our version look fun or funner or more attractive than the other version, then the people can't help but get that type of attraction. Um, you know, but it's going to take all of us doing it for that common cause. You know, some of us do it and we still want to be signed to our open enemies record labels, but you can't go that route like this. You're gonna have to have the Master P method, as I put it. You know, you're gonna have to do it on your own, but we got to do it in a righteous way and put our righteous conduct and flood the market with that I can't think of the word right now.
Content.
Content, yes, sir. With that content, yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
And let's talk about you know, if you can, one of your latest releases and what you're doing, how people can get access to your music.
Right. My latest release is called The Flying Flame. Um, and you can get it from therealruku.com. And also on the website, you'll get more production from me this season. I'm kind of refocusing because naturally I'm an audio engineer. You know, I've been doing audio engineer and Pro Tools certified for over 20 years now. So I have a full studio built in my backyard and all of that. So that's why I'm able to get stuff out so fast. I don't have to pay for time. But the Flying Flame is more geared toward those nation members. And that's why I do it for. You know, I walk around Saviors there and brothers say, you know, I like your music and this and all that. And that's what it's supposed to be about, really. It's more just to keep the FOI inspired by what we do, you know, and so we want to hear about it, you know, behind a good beat. And you know, I just infuse the teachings in there. That's basically what it is.
Mm. One of the things that I always find interesting, and I've only had maybe one or two experiences of this, you know, to be able to go to the studio and witness the creative process. I find that very fascinating, man, from the selection of the beat to people
Mm-hmm.
writing the lyrics, going in the booth, coming out of the booth, fine tuning
Mm-hmm.
the audio. What's your creative process like? Like, how is how do you come up with the idea with the song?
It's just inspiration. I may wake up with it. You know, you may wake up out of a dream with it and you just come up with it. You know, you'll hear a beat. I'll play the beat and then just lay the lyrics right then and there. So I try to do it off inspiration. That's why now I only do maybe like, you know, one album a year where I used to do 3 or 4 of them. I used to do a whole bunch of them, but it's just, I don't have the time that I used to have, but it's just daily inspiration. You know, I may go to the store and sister may not have enough money to get what she getting. That'll inspire me. And I'll write something about that, you know, and, you know, just anything, just life in general, Brother Willie. I can't even, you know, I'm gonna have to, next time you come up here, I'm gonna have to take you so you can just see how it works. Cause I deal with different artists that's in the nation. You know, I may master their CDs or help them out in different areas. But, you know, the music has been one avenue of keeping them active in the Nation of Islam, where they may be at, whoever's over them may not like that type of music or may not like that, you know. And then they hear me saying, "Nah, it's cool, it's okay, just clean it up, just, you know, do this, do that," and just keep doing it. So I will encourage it because everyone needs an outlet, and the music is spiritual. You know, you hear the beat, you get into a vibe, um, and the lyrics just come. They just come.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we're coming up on our first break. And brothers and sisters, if you're listening in, you're hearing the testimony of our brother Shaheed Muhammad. He's the student minister of Muhammad Mosque number 48 in the marvelous city of Dallas, Texas. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're encouraging others to tune in, and we'll be back with more questions with our brother on the other end.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Muhammad's economic blueprint, the collective power of our dollars to build a future for ourselves. With 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, and $18.20 a year multiplied by 16 million wage earners would give us $291 million in 1 year. Everyone can give 35 cents a week as an investment in our future. Donate now and see what our pennies, nickels, and dimes can accomplish. Visit economicblueprint.org.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, to continue this interview with our brother, my brother, Brother Shaheed Muhammad. And we left off, you were talking about the creative process and with the music. I'd like to ask you this. How have you found your musical endeavors to be an aid to your work as in your position as a student minister?
Oh man, this has been a huge bait on the hook, brother. Because here we have a studio in the mosque that Brother James W runs, and so we offer free studio time to brothers if they allow us to mentor them. So that's been one way that we've been keeping, good ideas coming through the mosque, young people coming through the mosque with ideas, and just introducing them to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Another avenue is I deal with a lot of young people who are in music already because, again, I'm a studio engineer, so they may need me to do something to their album or, as far as making radio play, get it up to standard for the radio, mix and master, things of that nature. So I've always been in this, even before the Nation of Islam, and I just use it as a tool where I'm at now because it just comes natural.
Wow. Great, man. And I want to ask you this question because when I was watching the interview with Brother Joshua, you talked about you weren't the student minister at that time when they had the situation with the white militia wanted to come around to the mosque. And you kind of talked about how prior to the brothers going out and the community was being there, there was a pre-talk, pre-gathering with those in the mosque prior to going out. If you can, what you can share, what was that environment like? Because I think about when I'm reading Brother Tim Muhammad's book, when the brothers went into the housing development in DC, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent word back with Brother Sharif to say, have a meeting and talk to the brothers about the dangers of what's going to happen and give everybody opportunity. If you with it, let us know. If you not, you're free to go, and we're not going to look at you a certain way. So for historical, what was that climate like, man, in the talk?
It was just like that. We had a huddle or a meeting, and we all discussed what was going to happen. What we were going to do. If you're not with it, or if you are, and just the love and and just the energy in the room. I had never felt that. So that's one thing even when you ask me, about like falling out and brothers who may be on the verge of falling out, man, you really, 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 sometimes circumstances will show you who your true brothers are. And the energy in that room made me look at a lot of people different than the way I viewed them before. Because those who came, those who showed up, those who were on time was ready to die that day. And it's easy to say that, but there's an energy in the room when you're around people who are ready to die for what they believe in. And ain't nobody gonna come up here and mess with our sisters, because this was on Saturday. So we have brothers on the roof, brothers here, brothers there, brothers everywhere. The SWAT came out. They was all on the roof pointing guns at us and all type of stuff, brother. It was an experience that I had never been in, an environment I had never been in. So just that energy, the conversations that we was having, just that strong manly talk. I can say like a coach in the locker room during Super Bowl. We coming to win. It was like that, and everybody was fully energized and ready to face whatever we was gonna face when we walked out that door to secure our mosque in our city.
What made them? Because I don't recall that militia going. Because I'm probably sure there are other masjids in the city of Dallas, but they didn't go. So then, what made them, from your perspective and your knowledge, target us, the Nation of Islam?
I'm not really sure what made them think like that. I know there was another video out where where they're talking about how they want to take the ministers off the roster. I mean, it's the ministers that's teaching this hate teaching and all of this stuff. They do got videos amongst themselves about that, but they did visit a couple masjids in our area prior to. They surrounded one masjid with the AK-47s that was in Irving, and actually a couple weeks ago, doing Juma prayer. It's a masjid that just got built, and up here the masjids are huge, and I got pretty good relationships with the imams, and so there was one that happened up here off Beltline 1382 in DeSoto, where they came in threatening them, and so when these things happen, we go visit, and show them how to secure their building while we do check, kind of bring them closer to what we do and how the God prepared us for a time like this. So I'm not really sure what they thought was going to happen when they came to South Dallas, but our roots are so deep in South Dallas that the film speaks for itself. We didn't have to call anybody; they all just showed up to make sure there wasn't nothing going to happen to their brothers, who looks out for their best interests on a daily.
Beautiful, man, beautiful, and that is like you said is in history, and the recording and the footage is online for anybody to want to see, and is resemblance of like what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan experienced in New York when the community came out to support the mosque. And while we're talking about that, can you take a brief moment, just talk about some of the outreach that you all are doing in the community there?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, we have our we outreach to the homeless shelters, and we got something big coming up with them. There's a domestic violence center that we're engaging with right now. Of course, the different neighborhoods that we're going to and adopting different apartment buildings. We're really just now getting back started. You got to get our wheels back rolling and oiled again because of COVID. So we're getting back to our block parties. Springtime is coming along, going into the Greek Panhellenic Council and doing more things with them. We got Brother Nuri coming down, inshallah, May 5th through the 7th, and to teach on marriage and things of that nature. So we're out surveying the community and seeing what type of service that we can provide, and just try to get our people to be engaged in cleaning themselves up, self-improving themselves in a way and in a manner that we can all benefit from.
Now you mentioned about the block parties. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, the block parties is we you can pull the zip codes of the most violent areas in Dallas. I'm pretty sure you can do it where you are. And what we do is that we partner with a business there, car wash, wherever we can set up, get the DJs, get everybody together, get the activists and those in our community who speak, and we have a party. We have conscious rap. We put up a mic. We'll have the food trucks set up. Those who own food trucks, and then we'll have someone there who's barbecuing and giving away free food and things of that nature. So we bring everybody in who we know who has an interest in that community, and we have a Stop the Violence banner. So the block party is really a Stop the Violence thing. The same thing when we did the car parade. I think that was the first time that's ever happened. Kind of like what they do in LA. We did it here in Dallas. And, at the time, police chief, the sister who was here as police chief, she showed up and everyone showed up to show assistance. And it was beautiful, from the Corvette clubs to everyone. So we have a lot of influence here in Dallas, but we try to strategically do it so it's not overkill. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's just what they do. No, if something happens, we're going to be there. A sister get murdered, we're there. Something happens in a crime scene, we're going to be there to see what's going on, whether we're on the news or not. Our objective is really just to heal the condition of our community and show our concerns.
Good. And this next question I want to ask is one that like a staple question that I ask many people, because I want those who've had the opportunity to be around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in private settings to be able to share, what they've seen or what they've heard, to help give people a better understanding of the heart and the spirit of this man. So I'm going to ask you that same question. If you had the opportunity to stand before the public and testify about a quality or qualities possessed by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what qualities would you testify about and why?
He's a true leader, and his integrity is unmatched. His commitment is unmatched, just by his demonstration of how hard he works on our behalf, how he travels around the world on the world view and talks to the different leaders, whether you see it, whether it's recorded or whether it's not, but it's genuinely out of love for the rise of our people. The opportunities that I have been around the minister, whether it's at dinners or, after Savior's Day. And then, I remember the first time when I was at the table, and you wouldn't think these certain people would be at the table, but it's people at the table that you wouldn't think that was there counseling with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's the most powerful man that I've ever met. And I would do myself a great disservice if I did not give all that I have to help this man out. When I know the direction that he's heading us in is inevitable, and that is the rise of our people. I've never met anyone whose integrity is like his. That he doesn't speak idle words. He's not going to tell you to do something to harm you. He always lifts you up when you're in his presence. He finds something. He settles on the best part every time. So it's something that, me not growing up with a father, and I'm looking at him and how he's guiding, it's something that I instantly gravitated to.
Beautiful. Now you mentioned, and you talked about the heliocentric, what is it?
But the Panhellenic Council?
The Panhellenic. And what's interesting is, I know really maybe over the last couple of years, I'm starting to see more and more believers who are part of fraternities and sororities come forward. Prior to that, we didn't really have it, and really there was, depending on who you talk to, some people, leave that alone. Then you talk to some people, no, that's our family, that's our brothers and sisters. Right. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was asked in a Twitter book about, what position a member of the Nation of Islam should have with that. And he didn't speak discouragingly of it. He encouraged it, right? So what's your experience and your perspective on members of the Nation of Islam being involved in those organizations and desiring to become a part of those organizations, and how can we facilitate that relationship?
Well, you got to understand that those who are in those organizations are the professional people in our community. That they have a certain level of education no matter what. Joining Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated a while ago, and being part of the PAN, you see how we work together for our community, because everyone who's in the Penn Atlantic Council is from a community base, and they want to see the same thing. They want to see the rise of our people. There are certain management skills that comes with that. They're already going to know Robert's Rule of Order. They're already going to know, have certain professional development skills. And there's a great benefit to have them around in our nation when we're talking about moving faster. And of course, when you see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wear his Omega Psi Phi stuff, then it makes it a lot easier for them to want to grasp into Islam, because they hear it and they hear the minister. And they looking, but then they see that he's one of us too. Oh yeah, we going over there. That's where it's at. So I would say that if you got any members that's in the PAN, any Greek members that's in the PAN, that you need to really look at them again, because they definitely have something that the nation needs. I remember talking to Brother Malik out on the West Coast, who was also a Q. He was saying that the minister wanted us to go back and get active in our fraternities and sororities again, and show them how we in the nation operate, our work ethic, because the master has work for them to do, so to speak. So, it's a beautiful combination. I don't think that anyone should shy away from it. I mean, anytime you get a more educated group of people around you, they may not have the supreme wisdom yet. They may not have all of those things yet, but they understand a whole lot more than what you think. Utilize them. And I think they'll be a great service to your mosque and study group.
Man, beautiful response, man. And it makes me think about something I was reading in a book regarding that. And if you read the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words, contrary to what some people put out there, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was interested in all of our people. He was also interested in our people who were educated, because depending on, who we're talking to, sometimes they can present the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a way to make it appear as if he was anti-education, which we know that he wasn't. And that makes me think to ask you this question, because you mentioned about how these people have a certain level of skill set that they have that we can need. And I would imagine that in your mosque, including yourself, you have professional people. For those who are watching, who may be in the ministry class or whatever, what advice would you give to them in regards to knowing how to handle people who come up, they're professionals. They may not everybody that comes into the Nation of Islam has a story of being a former gang member, drug dealer, etc.
Absolutely. I would say find out a way to utilize the talent, and don't be afraid, ashamed, or embarrassed because they can do something that you can't do. Utilize it. They come to everyone who comes to the nation wants to be engaged in nation building. No matter what aspect of the teaching they hone in first. A lot of them gonna hone in on economic development. You just never know what's in there, and the God is sending them our way. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad sent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to New York to gather the professional people and brought them back, right? And then he tells a story that, I got him, the Holy Apostle. He said, no, that's for you. You know what I'm saying? So now that we're here, we can't allow the naysayers not to allow us to do things that we absolutely know how to do that can benefit the nation. So those who are in leadership capacity, it would behoove you to utilize these individuals to the best of your ability and put them in positions where they can truly help and not be subordinate to someone who maybe not know how to handle them right or handle them in a certain way. Say, for instance, if I got a brother who runs a hospital, and he's the head of operations of a hospital, what do you think he can do for your local mosque? He's getting paid $300,000 a year to do this for someone who you say is your open enemy. But then when he comes in among us, he's relegated to something that just doesn't even utilize his talent whatsoever. That's not a benefit to the mosque, the believers, and that's doing a great injustice to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he was sent to get the professionals so we can move. You go back and read some of the table talks of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's talking to the professionals and stealing them away from the enemy, and then they're working for the nation. No matter what they do, whether they join or not. He gave blueprints and pictures of a nation that's being built by engineers, by teachers, by plumbers, by brick masons, all of these people we need, So we're living in a time now where all of that is really going to come into play. How are we going to build this heaven? AI can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Artificial intelligence, what I'm saying, that can't do it. We can't get caught up with some of the easy things. We got to get those who's ready to get their hands dirty and understand how to move people in a direction so we can actually get in the nation building, because that's the overall arching theme, is that we're going to take over the world again, but we got to have a nation. So in the supreme wisdom, the God asks questions about teachership, about engineering, about what type of engineer that it takes to build this nation. These are people who have been educated in these areas.
And that makes me think about conversations you and I have had and you've shared regarding the value that you see in the 9 ministries. Can you talk about the work of the 9 ministries that you're doing there in your mosque?
Absolutely. With any leadership, you gotta, sometimes it takes time because you got to get the right people in the right place at the right time to move. But when you read Closing the Gap, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about the importance of the 9 ministries. The 9 ministries is to take us from mosque to nation building. But how do we do that? And at the time when I was here in Dallas, I was first coming in Dallas, Dr. Aline used to come around, and he used to be in Dallas a lot. At that time, Brother Jeffrey used to have him here a whole lot. I thought he was transferring. He was here so much. But he gave us such a wealth of knowledge on what he had been studying and what he had been surveying, and leaving us books and pamphlets and instructions on the importance of building a nation and what that looks like. Because if we don't have those ideas, matter of fact, if we're reading the Holy Quran, which we're coming up on the holy month of Ramadan, which was about to take place, well, the Quran is a nation building book. It says whoever the reader is, it should rise into eminence, but it talks about how to run and establish a nation of believers. So it would be in our best interest to revisit the 9 ministries and look at it in that aspect, not so much as, oh, well, it's going to usurp my position as a student minister. No, your position is a brother and a sister, for one. Everything else that in rank and file, so you can run in an organized manner, that's cool, but it does not overshadow the overall theme of nation building. That is the most important thing, is getting those people in those positions so we can move. The 9 ministries is not geared towards just you being in the nation. It's for outside anybody who comes with a skill. It's just like sitting at the dinner table with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but it's organized by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That is beautiful, man. That is beautiful in just the insight and the foresight that you have, my brother. What are some I know you talked about the documentary. What are some other things you all have in the works? I know you talked about bringing Brother Nuri in. Some other things you all have in the works for the city of Dallas.
Right now, we do a yearly calendar, and some things are coming up. Skating parties, what you call it, stepping, doing some dancing, just having fun with Islam, brother. I'm really just trying to really build our camaraderie more, so it doesn't be just like an everyday mosque thing and it's more like a job. We really want to build the brotherhood and the sisterhood to a capacity to where we can really say, I know that brother. You know what I'm saying? And so I would all, like the Quran says, you want us to have our brother and our sister's best interests at hand, no matter what goes on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like building friendships. You got to be a friend. And we say we want all friendships in all walks of life. Well, sometimes, being a brother and a sister is by default. That's just by getting your ex. But you got to spend time with somebody to be a friend. You got to spend time with somebody to know, nah, he wouldn't do that. I know he wouldn't do that. So, these are some of the events that we're planning, so we can become closer together. When I first got on the post, I was all out in the city, being with this activist here, just learning the city. And then they did an article on me, said that, that when they know me in the hood as brother, because we would be everywhere. We was everywhere in the beginning, whether it's gas station that ain't treating our people right. Everywhere we was up in there. I did that in the beginning, maybe 1 or 2 years, and then I really, around COVID, I wanted to just focus in on us more. Those who have already accepted the teaching, and let's massage this. Let's teach and train as the lieutenants are supposed to do. Let's teach and train in all aspects in areas that I see deficiencies in, and let's create workshops and classes that we study along. And try to build ourselves up. Because in the final analysis, as you know, with Hurricane Katrina, it's us. It's us. Where are we at?
Yeah. Somebody's gonna go. You got another viewer for this Netflix program. So they want. I know the name of the series. Can you mention the name of the series again?
Yeah, it's called Resurrection Urtugal. That's how it starts. Now that's the foundation. Now the next series is called Usman, which is his son, and then after his son, it's called Orhan. When you start studying these series, go Google them, and so you can kind of see like the story. But it's beautiful how everybody else has their story and we don't have ours. You know what I'm saying? And that's what really intrigued me is that these are stories that have been passed down through ages. They know how strong the Muslims are over there. They know the history behind them. And they know how strong we are, and they broke all our history up. So that's why I like shows like this. I like, I even like, the documentary that your mosque did, 46 down in New Orleans. And we all should be telling our stories, no matter where it starts at. We should do some type of documentary history on our time.
Definitely. And this last question I want to ask, I always ask this question too, as we get ready to close, was there anything you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to say, either you forgot or maybe I just didn't ask the question to bring it out? If so, this is your opportunity.
I would say that, we got to keep striving hard in Islam. I know we have ups and downs in Islam, but hold on to the rope of Allah to the best of your ability. I would also encourage us to strive hard to get our 5 prayers in every day. As the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, prayer keeps one away from indecency. And sometimes it's the indecency of the thought of our mind, or maybe how we reacted to another believer. We may have conflict, come across a conflict. Man, stick to your prayers and give your brothers and sisters the benefit of the doubt. We don't ever want to give the enemy an inkling of a chance to use something against one of us. The next thing you know, we're in a difficult situation and it's making us look a certain way. So that would probably be one thing that I would want to leave on our hearts, especially in the beginning of this Ramadan, is that if we have differences with someone, please settle those differences. I would love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to be able to just touch a city, on his Google map or on his iPad and be like, man, we got some believers down there that's strong, fighting hard for Islam. This is what they're doing in the aspect of nation building. This is what this city is doing in the aspect of nation building. And then this is what this city is doing in the aspect of nation building. I think we're really going to get this thing together. So by the grace of Allah, that's pretty much all I really wanted to say, Brother Willie. And I want to thank you and all those who put on this program to continue to strive hard to let everyone have a testimony, because everyone has a testimony to tell. I know before Islam, I don't think I would have had a testimony. I could have told you about, general life like everyone else has, but Islam woke me all the way up. And, inshallah, my light won't go out until my time. So I thank y'all for listening to me. And I leave you. Assalamu alaikum.
And wait one more time, can you tell them how you can be reached on social media? What's your social media handles?
My social media handle, you can go Shaheed on Facebook, and I have another one that's Dr. Alshaheed Muhammad. On Instagram, you can find me at The Real Ruku. You can go to my website, therealruku.com. That's RUKU. They took down my Twitter. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I really wasn't on Twitter big like that. That's what tripped me out, because I don't even really tweet like that. I do more Instagram and Facebook than anything else. And then they closed my Twitter down, so I could never get another Twitter account.
We need to reach out to Elon Musk, man. Hey, they didn't get
he's down in Austin, right? He in Austin. Have to call the Austin guy, Brother Robert, to see if he got some connections.
They gave Trump his back, so we know they got to get yours back. But thank you, my brother, for the interview. Thank you for what you're doing there in the city of Dallas, what you do for our region and what you do for our nation. And I'm happy that I had the opportunity to interview you and ask you some of what's the word? Some of the questions that I did, because, you know, for those who are watching this, you can see that we're dealing with a brother that's very competent. Like he said, he's a progressive thinker, wealth of skills and wealth of talent. We have it here in our nation, brothers and sisters. And brother is one of the people that reminds me of something the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said at the dinner table. He said that every problem that we have in the nation, we have the solution for it. So he is one of those people. So thank you, brother Shaheed. And we're going to get to these close out and get right to these announcements. May Allah bless you and your family.
May Allah continue to bless you too, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And for those who are tuning in, we thank you all for tuning in. We ask that you hit the like button, you know, and then, but it knows a good interview. Our producer said this is a great interview. You don't really say that too much. So for people who you want to contribute and help us, listen, we have to pay for these services. StreamYard is not free. And so whatever you can contribute, $5, $10, send it a Cash App. We will greatly appreciate it as well. And also the way you can support this program. We're right now in the process of taking people who want to run your commercials, right? We can promote your business or some business that you have. So hit us up and we can send you the information about the packages. In addition to that, when we're here in the city of New Orleans, we're working to pay off our mosque here. We're chipping away at it. So whatever you have to give, we'd appreciate it. Share the flyer, let somebody else know. It's on GoFundMe. We thank you for your contributions. In addition to that, here are some services that we have. The prostate testing, and it's a blood test. This is not the anal test. This is a blood test. Early detection increases the likelihood of living. So reach out to us so we can see about scheduling a test in your city, because we found out that we can schedule tests in various cities as well outside of New Orleans. And in addition to that, we have our brother. We're going to be doing something soon with him, an addictive behavior. It just deals with all addictive behavior. A lot of times we just think about drugs and different things like that, but there's others.